excited to dive into your story. You've been in the position quite a while. I'm sure you've seen a lot of change.
As chairman since '85, and then previous term as vice chairman in '73 through '77. Then I was the head of an intertribal group that included the Citizen Potawatomi for 2 years after that, and then I was vice chairman of the tribe the general manager for the tribe for a couple of years, and ran for chairman in '85.
Yeah, and if I have my research right, 8th generation as well.
I am the 8th generation of the family to hold tribal office.
Yeah. So growing up then, it was very custom and normal for you to have a family member that was involved, and you were very involved from a young age.
As a child, most of the talk around the breakfast table, and best particularly at my grandparents' place, was about politics. My grandmother was from one of the largest tribal families, and my grandfather was from a very large tribal family. So it's on my mother's side, and both of them were very interested in politics, and my interest in the language came because when they didn't want the grandkids to know what they were talking about, they would talk in Potawatomi. So I managed to force myself to learn at least enough to understand what they were talking about.
Yeah, and I mean, to that point, your tribal name as well. I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I would butcher it.
Keweoge.
Keweoge. Okay.
It means he leads them home.
Okay. Which, do you ever ask your kind of, dad, mom, grandparents why they gave you that name?
Actually, I wasn't named until I was 40. I didn't really, I didn't really think it was important at the time. I was involved in so many other projects, and I really wasn't involved deeply with the culture other than what I had to do. And when I'd been in the tribe for quite some time, I had the good fortune to go up north and be around Pottawatomie tribes, the other 7 Pottawatomie tribes, and they're were much more deeply involved in the culture. And once I got up there and got around it, I realized the value of it, and I had the good fortune to be named by a man in Prairie Potawatomi from the Prairie Potawatomi Nation, and he gave me the name and also taught me a lot of the traditions that I had not learned. The Citizen Potawatomi have been separate since 1867, and we also were the first of the tribe to convert to Christianity. The combination of the physical separation and the religious conversion kept us away from the Pottawatomie traditions, and naming was one of the first ones that people sort of stopped doing, a number of the people. And once we restarted it, we had the luxury of being able to restart the clan system and restart the naming again. Now we have, out of our 38,000 members, I would imagine at least 10,000 of them have their names.
Yeah.
So the naming tradition has really come back, and everyone has in a family, everyone has a member that's learned the tradition. There's a namer almost in every one of the big families. And once you get your name, you have the ability to give another person their name.
Okay.
So the old tradition of waiting until the oldest member of the family gave you a name, we didn't have the luxury of doing that because so many of the families were split up.
Yeah.
Our tribe was one of the tribes that was subjected to the urban relocation program of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And in the 1940s, late 1940s, 1950s, the huge numbers of the tribe were moved to California and Texas and different places. And so we have a big spread of geography of where the Pottawatomie people are. They're in enclaves almost of around 2,000 or 3,000. In California, if we were a California tribe, we'd be the largest California drive. There are so many of us there. And I call them the prune picker Potawatomis in the northern part of the state. They haven't increased in numbers as much as the bunch around Bakersfield and Los Angeles basin.
So, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So growing up then, you probably thought that, I mean, because everyone in my family's got some form of involvement, it's going to come around to me at some point. But as a young age, growing up in Shawnee, did you think, I want to go do something else? I want to go into business. I want to go drilling. I want to go all field or cow. What was kind of like, childhood kind of, I want to go do this? What was your kind of dream growing up?
Well, I did. In fact, I did do that. I stayed away from everything except that what was obligatory. I was one of 26 grandchildren. My grandmother had 13 children, and when I was about 24, she decided that I was going to be the next one, and she was 4'11", and I was scared to death of her. She was an amazing woman, very strong woman, and I loved her dearly and would not say no to her. So she decided I was going to be involved in tribal politics. My uncles were involved. Two of my uncles were chairmen, and one of my uncles was secretary-treasurer. And after they got older, when it went to the next generation, she got me by the ear and said, "You're next." And so there was no telling her no. You pretty well did what she asked.